Hello, and welcome to the SnapEd Staff Train the Trainer Refresher. Today we are going to briefly cover material that has used to help support you in your role as a trainer and update you on changes that have been made to the presentation materials as well as the Train the Trainer support platform. For our main objectives today, you are going to review the steps involved in using the curriculum training guides as well as where to find them, review your role and responsibility as a trainer, review the process for setting up and implementing a training with an agency, and learn more about Canvas, which replaced Moodle as the support site for Train the Trainer materials as well as the curriculum. So, why Train the Trainer? This project came from staff and community partner requests. So we found that educators had limited capacity. Educators are busy and aren't always able to fulfill the requests of every new agency all of the time. Demand. As regional staff, we cover a large distance with multiple counties, and we really just can't be at two places at once. And also invested community partners. So we have had all of these sites that see us as a fixture within the community, and they regularly request classes. And so even if we aren't able to always be there all the time, they still want us there. So this is a way that we can select or meet that demand and then expand our capacity. So what are the goals for Train the Trainer? We do have three main goals for this type of delivery method. So the first is to expand our reach throughout Minnesota. Goal 2 is to build capacity in local communities to deliver relevant health and nutrition information by way of local partners. The model of collaboration and training through community partners will not only expand our reach, but also build capacity and empower communities with information and resources that they can utilize to address their community concerns. And then goal 3 is to create a model that begins with community need and ends with a sustainable model of program delivery and the opportunity to improve overall community health. So through the Train the Trainer project, you are helping to meet the need of educating providers. Through this Train the Trainer program, we are working to expand our reach throughout Minnesota. The model of collaboration and training through community partners will not only expand our reach, but empower communities with information and resources that they can use to address community concerns. So you as a trainer are really vital in that part of the effort. So Train the Trainer is also one of our SnapEd plan actions. So it is written into our 3-year plan under Project 1, Individual and Organization Learning and Opportunities to Influence Health, Eating, and Activity Living Behaviors. The narrative talks about ongoing environmental assessments, community partnership, funding grants, and reach. So through this project, we're fulfilling that. What are the expectations? There are no expectations around fitting this into your existing plan of work. So this project is really just to explore another model for delivery. If it's a good fit for both you and for your site, then great, go for it. If it's not, then don't do it. I cannot express to you enough that the intention of this project is not to take work away from people or to lose those sites that you love working at. This is just an option for program delivery. You work so hard and you can't be everywhere at once, so this is a way to expand your reach. On the flip side, it's not meant to fulfill all of your direct education either, so it's really intended for you to extend your reach while serving other sites or engaging in PSC with that site too. So, preparing for training. So in part 2, we're going to talk a little bit more about recruiting partners, meeting with partners, and what that looks like. So when you're recruiting partners as trainers and deciding if a site is a good fit, these are some aspects that you can consider. So first of all, do they qualify for programming? So new partners should sign off on a program information form, or you can use census tract data. If you use a PIF form, be sure to upload that to the database. SnapEd capacity. So are you traveling 2 hours to meet the site, and that's not always feasible? That could be an indicator that they would be a good site for Train the Trainer. Requests for ongoing classes. The partner agency is asking for classes on a monthly basis, and it doesn't seem like there's any end in sight. We all have those sites. Partner capacity. Does the partner agency have staff or volunteers available that could be trained? Do they have experience and an interest in engaging in this work? Resources to support the class, financial capability, are they able to support the class and supplies? Adequate space for classes, does this site have access to a functioning sink? Is there accessibility for all participants? Can they comfortably accommodate the maximum class size? And then finally, demonstrates ongoing participant need. Again, do they have new clients that are coming in and out all the time that would be able to fulfill classes? If so, then that would be a great site for this program. So I want to talk a little bit about this. So this document is called The Process for Setting Up and Implementing an Agency Training. So it's an updated guide. So once you have determined that your site is working, that it's a great fit for Train the Trainer, you want to set up a meeting with that partner, and this is a tool that will walk you through the whole process. So you can find this document on the Canvas site under each of the curriculum links, and we'll go through that in a minute. So it's a step-by-step guide for SnapEd staff that takes you through the steps of recruitment, preparing you for training, day of your training, and post-training follow-up. And all of the documents on the Canvas site are set up following this guide. So now that you've gone through that document and you have a sense of what's involved, you'll set up that meeting with a community partner to talk one-on-one about the logistics involved with teaching direct education at that site. So you'll take time to talk a little bit more about this, talk through PSE, highlight the community approach to healthy living, and that partners really have that critical role as a connector of people and resources. So during that meeting, you'll talk through the training site guidelines and also the curriculum options, and all those handouts are on the Canvas site as well. So let's go a little more in depth into some of these. So you'll see this first document, which is called the SnapEd Partner and Trainee Guidelines. So this document highlights the roles of SnapEd staff, the partner organization, which is the site that'll be hosting the classes, and the trainee, which is the person that's going through the training. So the document shows that SnapEd staff are responsible for delivering the partner training, providing technical assistance, conducting site visits, and following up with support as needed. The partner site is responsible for providing space, participants, ingredients, and cooking equipment, behavior management, and encouraging a healthy classroom. So it's really setting you up for PSE as well. And finally, the trainee is responsible for delivering the curriculum, administering SnapEd paperwork, communicating needs to the partner site, and accessing resources on the technical assistance site. So, and also connecting with you to get the support that they need. And here are the 5 curriculum options that we are starting with for this project. So we realize that this won't fit every single site, and so there are other curriculums out there, and so if you're thinking that one of those would be a good fit, feel free to talk with your coordinator to see if that would work for the site. We needed a place to start, and this is what we started with, and this came as a result of a survey that we did with staff to say these were the highest need curriculum and audiences that are requesting this curriculum, so this is where we started with. But again, it's not a one-size-fits-all thing, so feel free to talk with your coordinator about another curriculum. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit more about key points to consider when you're going to facilitate your training. So we're going to talk a little bit about delivery method, one-on-one or a group, and then the partner level of training experience. So first you want to determine if you're going to be doing more of a one-on-one training with a couple people, or if you're going to be doing a group training with 5 or more people. So once you do that, you're going to take a more in-depth look at what these require. So a one-on-one training, we've determined that is like 1 to 2 or 4 people in that group. You're going to be working with the trainee on logistics, so the location, date, time, those type of things. This does require some pre-work. So for all of our curriculum, we're encouraging our partners to go to the site and try to view some of those online materials before, just look through them. If they don't, it's fine. Your training might take longer because you'll go a little bit more in depth with some of the exploration. But if they do review some of those things beforehand, then that offers your training time to be a really big Q&A session. So you'll kind of take it from wherever your partner has time to go through it or not. The biggest thing is the conversation format. So because you're meeting one-on-one, it's going to be kind of awkward to have you standing and them sitting and do a PowerPoint presentation. But the PowerPoint presentations are set up so you'll bring your tablet, you'll have it going on there, and really just talk through the PowerPoint. It's really just a guide for conversation for you. So activities in the large group format have also been formatted to be a little bit more conversational. And then know that the one-on-one has a reduced time for training. So again, because it's one-on-one, it's going to be shorter in length, but it's still designed in a way that ensures the fidelity of the curriculum training. So that's one-on-one. If you go for the group training, which means you're going to be working with 5 or more people, it's obviously going to require more planning and training logistics because you need to make sure you have a site that's big enough to accommodate whatever activities that you're going to do. And other things as well. It requires that same pre-work, so registering and then being sure that you can view the materials beforehand. If not, you're going to go a little longer and more in depth at the actual training. Just refer to that PowerPoint, and that's kind of your training guide, and then follow the group activities. So all of those resources have been added to the Canvas site underneath their designated curriculum. So you can find all of those activities there. So once you've gone through the Train the Trainer guidelines, you've decided on the curriculum, and you've determined how many people the agency is sending to this training, the next step in that conversation is determining the level of experience with facilitating classes. So we created 2 different frameworks. One of them is for people who have experience in teaching, which are educators, and the other is a framework for non-educators. So the non-educator framework provides an opportunity to talk a little bit more about facilitation, knowing your audience, managing group behavior, that type of thing. So we'll take a little closer look at each of these. So here are the training frameworks. And these, again, are found on that Canvas site. So you can use these to help to customize that training to your community partner and whatever needs that they vocalize while you're building your partnership with them. So basically, again, the educator track is for teachers and those who are in after-school programs or others with really high facilitation skills that are doing groups already. The focus for this is mostly on the nutrition basics and then the actual curriculum and the paperwork component of it. These educators are already experts in facilitating groups, so you don't really need to go into that material. The non-educator track guide is used for agencies who have little to no experience in presenting educational material, and that provides more resources on like the experiential learning model, understanding your audience, facilitating lessons and group behavior, as well as the nutrition education component and the curriculum as well. So once you've determined that framework that you're going to use, you're going to think through what kind and how much support that partner needs to get up and running. So steps for these are on the technical assistance guide, which is on the Canvas site, and we'll go through that towards the end. But for now, just know that this mentorship plan is really going to depend on your experience as an educator, your knowledge of the site, and your relationship with that partner to determine what is needed for that initial course. So if you're getting the sense that they're not comfortable or they're confused about maybe the layout or what this looks like in action, that'd be a great opportunity for you to set up a shadowing opportunity so they can observe. And if maybe you want to do a little back and forth and do some co-teaching with them so they get the experience of what that looks like, that's great too. So just know from the get-go that your initial course is going to take a little bit more time just because you're really building that knowledge and expertise and helping them to gain confidence as a facilitator. And then that really sets the groundwork for that next training to be a little more independent for them and on their own. So if you're working with a site that you know is a good fit, they check all of the boxes for those prerequisites, but they're just a bit hesitant to get on board, here are some common barriers that were voiced by agencies and some solutions that you can propose. So if you're in a situation where you're booked this summer and you don't want to get a new site, you don't want to let them go because you've been trying to get into them forever and they finally got back to you, then these are just some ideas to help kind of spread your reach with those agencies that are super comfortable and want you to come back all the time anyway. So this list is based on challenges that staff heard from agencies. And it's no big surprise, it's pretty common for what we've all heard when we're trying to move forward with an agency. The most common is the top three: the lack of time, funding, and internal capacity. So if you have an agency that's talking about lack of time, then a solution, which is listed on the right, is forming a mentorship plan and working out a schedule. If you have one that's concerned about funding or supplies, you can share opportunities with them. If you have an agency that's concerned about internal capacity, you can bring up the volunteers or internal connections they have or internships, just kind of leverage whatever connections they have. If you have an agency that is just not comfortable, you can talk about shadowing. And then if you have distance from the extension site, which is kind of voiced more on the SnapEd side than the agency side, one educator has had success in kind of expressing scarcity of educators and got some skin in the game from the agency to contribute to a train the trainer by building capacity so that this fixture that they've always had there will continue. So that's another technique too you can use. So let's go through a quick example of what this could look like. Let's say a school. So let's say you work with a local school that's providing Go Wild to third graders, and you picked up the site after an educator who had been there previously moved away. So the school is an hour away from your office, and you no longer have the capacity to continue programming. When you share the train the trainer idea with that teacher, they, of course, talk about lack of time and funding for supplies as big barriers. So how would you respond? Well, something that you could do is talk about co-teaching. So opportunities where they could take a lesson, you could take a lesson. Maybe you can do some co-teaching initially, and then next year that teacher could take it over. You could talk about scheduling, so pre-schedule some lesson days and times. Build value for the program. So talk about how it fits in with their health and wellness plan. Talk about the school food service, relationship building component, so they don't have to do all of it on themselves. They can get some other school people involved. You could talk about the classroom volunteers from the school. So if there's a student teacher involved, this is an excellent opportunity for that student teacher or a classroom grandparent or volunteer or a community member, anything. So you can really talk through some of those things with them if there's a little hesitation. Again, if it's not a good fit, it's not a good fit, but these are the concerns, and as long as you show that you're there to support and you can overcome those concerns, then this is a way that you can get them on board too. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about training. So all of that information is found on the Canvas site, so we'll explore that now. So it's canvas.umn.edu, and this will take you to a dashboard. So you can see there's two different sites here. There is the SnapEd Train the Trainer site, and there is the SnapEd Train the Trainer training materials. So this one is for community partners, and this one is for SnapEd staff. And again, it's replacing that Moodle site. So as you can see, there's a description of our program. And then here are the curriculum resources and then the additional resources. So here are all the curriculum. And then this is the general nutrition education resources. So just as the Moodle site had that information before. Here's where it is now. It's going to talk about nutrition basics, frequently asked questions, My Plate, videos, food safety, teaching materials, and then our Energizer training too. So all of those resources are here. It's just laid out a lot cleaner. And special thanks to Heather Lee for helping to map this out too. So under additional resources, this link goes to the SnapEd staff site, so you don't have to click around or click out of it too. You can just go there. And we'll get to that in a second. So for now, we'll just click on a curriculum. So on these pages, you will see that there's the name of the curriculum. There's a description of what that curriculum is. There's a link to the curriculum or purchasing the curriculum. And then there's the required forms. So here you will find the guide for collection for SnapEd data, and all of these have been updated for fiscal year 2019. The course information form, and then the getting to know yous. And each of these has a description of what that actually is. There is a note that neither pre or post evaluation surveys are needed. And these are on all the pages except for Go Wild. There's a note that if they are selected, then there's evaluation material on that one as well. So then we will go to the training material page. And I should also note too that for community partners, they will receive an email. If they were on the Moodle site, they'll receive an email that we have switched platforms and it's on the Canvas site. And they'll be registered for the Canvas site. And so it's a great time if you haven't to reconnect with that community partner, see how it's going, and touch base with them about this and see if they have any questions or problems navigating the site. So now we're on the SnapEd Train the Trainer training material site. And so this is the SnapEd staff site. It's set up the same way. So down here is the SnapEd Train the Trainer site. That's for community partners. So again, you can click on that instead of going in and out. It links you right away. And then accessible use. So those are some other resources for you to use on accessibility and usability. So we'll go back to that. Choose health. We'll click on that. Same thing. So you have the description of the curriculum. And then here's that document we talked about, the process for setting up and implementing an agency training. And so again, the whole site is set up with those same headers. So it goes through the recruiting partners. So you have all of the information there. This is the updated SnapEd Works infographic. You have the flyer for that curriculum, and then you have the guidelines. As you're preparing for the training, here's a link to the curriculum. You have the educator and non-educator track documents. These are all additional materials. So depending on what track your community partner is, these are all the supportive guidelines for that, or documents rather. So you have tips for facilitators, preparing to teach adults, managing behavior. All of that is found there. As you move down, facilitating the training, here is the link to the PowerPoint presentation, all of it updated for 2019. Here is all the My Plate food groups. Here's the scavenger hunt activities. So all of the activities and icebreakers that go with the curriculum are on that corresponding site. So all you have to do is go to this page. It's all right there for you. And then here's all the guide for the paperwork and that reporting form, which is that cover sheet that you would send paper documents to Cheryl, who's entering that into the database. And then the follow-up. So you have the reflection for the community partners. This is the link you'll provide community partners. And then the check-in form as well. So that's a very brief overview. You can feel free to click on all the documents and go through that on your own. All right, so part 5, we have the program requirements. So now that you've kind of done the training, next step is going to go through all of the necessary paperwork and enter that into Seeds. So note that the course paperwork is going to focus on attendance and the getting to know yous. The Go Wild PowerPoint, the training and all of the paperwork does include the evaluation guide and all of the corresponding forms for that. So if your site isn't selected for evaluation, you can omit that portion. on your own, but just know that the PowerPoint is all there ready to go for you. So we're going to start with entering the training under Partner Ed. So here's a screenshot of the partner education. So none of that is new at all. So you're going to be entering that information just how you would any other partner education. So the community partner training is the partner education. And if you get stuck on anything, just refer to those wonderful videos that are in the database for you. And again, you'll be entering that training info just how you would any other partner education training. Then you'll be entering the Train the Trainer course under course. So the community partner, this is what they will be teaching when they teach participants. You will enter that as a course. So the only big difference is this portion of it. So you'll be entering Train the Trainer, or you'll select Train the Trainer, which is found under that course type. You'd select Train the Trainer as a direct or Train the Trainer direct with indirect. Whichever applies to that course you're teaching with, it's the same standard as what you would do when you teach a course. So just follow all of the regular instructions for entering an education course in SEEDS for this main page. So you'll notice that there's a technical assistance tab under that Train the Trainer course. And so you're going to connect the technical assistance by including that 4-digit Partner Ed identification number. So that can be found on the Partner Ed page that you completed. It's going to be right there. So you want to make sure those are connected, and it's also listed in the column right before your name too in that Partner Ed piece if you're looking for that. So next we'll talk about the data roles for SnapEd staff and partners. So this is going to include the guide for completing SnapEd data, the course attendance, the getting to know you, and the evaluation if needed. So the guide for collecting SnapEd data has been updated, so feel free to check that out on the page or on the Canvas site. So these handouts contain directions for how to complete the course attendance and the getting to know you form. I will note that this visual that's included is for the Go Wild because it has the pre and post survey information. That's the only one that does, all the rest don't, so you don't have to worry about that. So also a note that, again, the preferred method to complete these forms is online through the app. So we all know that sometimes there's issues with technology that can occur. So partners do have access to paper copies with all of the forms. So the set of handout and the updated paper copies and forms are all located on the Canvas site, as pointed out earlier. So as a SnapEd educator, you'll be responsible for completing the shaded portion of that course attendance form, and the site partner will be completing all the rest of that information. Partners are asked to send this to you within 2 weeks of the last session. So if you aren't going to pick this up in person, then be sure you have a pre-addressed envelope for teachers so they're able to send that back to you. As you're looking through the teacher data, the collection guide, you'll see that there are instructions for completing both the paper and online forms. If the site is using apps, then you're responsible for creating the course and sending that link to the partner prior to training, just as you would any other. So if technology is limited, feel free to use the paper copy as a backup option. Again, provide that partner with a pre-addressed envelope. So partners are asked to send those forms within 2 weeks of when they begin the course, or you can collect them if you want to as well. It's a good excuse to pop in on that site. So it's really up to you how you set that up with your community partner, as long as you get the paperwork. That's the important thing. So post-course, we do have this reporting form, and it's found on the SnapEd staff Canvas site. So if you are getting paper getting to know yous, or you have a Gold Wild site that is selected for evaluation, then you complete this form as a cover sheet, and that's going to go along with the paper copies. And Cheryl is a wonderful support staff in Farmington who's going to be entering the paper copies. So this is still just a trial basis, so things may change, but for now, she's going to be doing that. So on this form, you'll see it's her name and address. You want to put in the facilitator name, the site name as listed in SEEDS, that course number, that 4-digit ID, the date, all of that information. And then on the bottom too, you'll also note that if the total number of participants does not match the number for evaluations, then please explain why. So these are all the identifiers that we use to kind of have a checks and balances for all the info that we need for a course. So if you want to enter it, you can. Otherwise, you can complete this cover sheet and you can send that on. All right, so the last section is technical assistance. So we want to talk about the site check-in form and then also the technical assistance piece too. So here is the site check-in form. So this is a document that you will bring with you to the site. You just want to use this to ensure the fidelity of the curriculum. So as pointed out earlier, on the Canvas SnapEd staff site, you'll find this document, and it's to use as a guide for when you're popping in during a site visit. So not only are you going to be checking the fidelity, but this is also going to help give you some talking points so you can see if that community partner can use some extra support. Be sure that you debrief with them at the end of the session or take some time soon thereafter to talk through it. It's going to require some soft skills on your part, but just know that you can rely on your expertise and experience to share tips and tricks that you use in your own classes to address any issues or concerns. Hopefully, whatever concerns or issues have already been addressed in your training and you're already providing some of that technical assistance and mentoring and support. So when you do check in and observe, you're not surprised by anything. It's also a good guide for you too, so keep a copy and be sure you enter that into the database so you can double check what technical assistance that you're providing so you don't leave anything out. So this is a technical assistance guide that at the time of this recording isn't uploaded to the site yet, but will be. So you'll find it in that materials section. And this just gives you an idea of what technical assistance could look like after that initial training. It provides ideas for developing a mentorship plan, including the process for setting up a shadowing experience with your community partner, ideas for what a co-teaching session could look like. It also covers steps for wrapping up a train-the-trainer experience, reminders to set up a next course, and to debrief with the agency and maybe talk through some other PSE opportunities moving forward. And you want to be sure that you enter that information into the database so you can check all of whatever you use for that. If it's a shadowing experience or co-teaching, be sure you click other and then share in their comment section exactly what that technical assistance looked like for you. And then evaluations. So you do want to send this partner survey. It's a Qualtrics survey, and ask them about their post-training experience and how that went for them. Great, so that was a really quick refresher. You can feel free to look through all the materials, and if you have any questions on anything, feel free to connect with me about that or your coordinator as well. So, thank you. Just to let you know too, we are looking for some new group members. We've had some staff turnover. And so if you're interested in joining the team, please let me know. We're only going to be meeting maybe once a month and just answering questions and maybe helping educators troubleshoot. Some of this is they're just getting into it. So if you're interested in connecting in that way, then feel free to let me know. Thank you.